Welcome back to DG Modelworks, and it's time for another layout update. Plus I wanted to show you a Christmas present from a dear friend of mine. Pretty funny, isn't it? Alright, you're going to have to bear with me because I'm probably going to freehand most of this. Anyways, I got the cork laid for my coal mine area. And I got the cork laid for the passing siding that was here. So yes, I still have some mainline track to lay. But here, this leads into the coal mine. The spur to the left will be for a switching locomotive for the coal mine. And then we have these spurs here. And no, I'm not laying cork on top of cork. That's just to give me an idea of where the track will run, and then I will draw my track center line. So that's the only reason you see cork road bed laying there. Now I'm going to probably switch it up a little bit here with the plan. I think I'm going to treat this as an abandoned coal mine, or they abandoned this part. They abandoned the coal tipple per se, simply because I don't have a realistic amount of length that I can run back through the other side to actually make this a little bit realistic, and that bugs me. So I'm probably not going to really use the coal tipple, but I will leave it there. I plan on doing a ton of weathering to it and make it kind of look out of use. And I got this idea coming up now that I'm going to tell you about from BNSF 9370. Check him out on YouTube. But anyways, I'm going to probably place a flood loader on this line right here as close to the turnout as I can, and that is where I will load the coal hoppers, and I will treat these other lines as just the storage tracks. So all the loading will be done from the flood loader. That's my plan. So they're basically, the storyline is they don't use that anymore. They use the flood loader. So we'll see how that works out. So that's the coal mine area. Now another industry that a lot of you keep asking me about is the paper mill and how I'm going to do it. And it took me a while to try to come up with an idea, because you know, paper mills, most of them are pretty large, and it's a pretty large industry to model, and most people don't have the room to do the entire thing. But I know, there are tons of different styles of paper mills, so it's all on what you're looking for. The paper mills are a very complex industry to decide what you want to do, how you want to do it, how big of a industry you want to make it. Is it just a finishing mill? Is it a craft mill? There is so much, and it was overwhelming to me, and I think that's why I just kind of kept putting it off, because I couldn't wrap my brain around it. It was just too overwhelming. But anyways, I think this is how I'm going to do this. Right now, this will be where this is the craft mill, and I have the building. It needs built, but I have a cardboard footprint of it, which as you see is folded in half, so I will probably only use half the building, just because of space. So when I build it, it's getting cut in half. So that'll be the craft mill. I'll have some pulp tanks, and I have a bunch of other tanks and piping and everything that I will be probably filling up in this area here. And these buildings here were gifted to me. They need some tender loving care. I'm actually not even going to use the main mill building. I have a new one to build. I'm actually going to take that apart and use the pieces for background buildings. This is the recovery building, the recovery boiler building. So I'm going to put craft mill on it, the label or the decal. It's not the craft mill, it's the recovery boiler. I am going to use this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it all down, take it all apart, clean it up, repaint it, clean off all the excess glue that you see. Going to redo it all, but I'm using the pieces. So that's where that's going to go. and I kind of have it butted up corner to corner with this building. I just like the looks of how that is. I really struggled with the lack of space to do what I wanted to do, so I'm kind of putting a lot of stuff in a small area. As you see here, I'm not going to use this rail service door here when I build the new building, but the truck loading will be there. Truck loading, truck unloading, should say truck loading, outgoing, probably just outgoing. Well, it could be outgoing, receiving, but the parking lot will be here for the tractor and trailers. I'm not sure what I'm going to put back in this area behind here yet. I'm either going to put a bunch of tanks and piping, or I may actually have a stream run behind, like run through here, and like it cuts off. So basically a stream next to the building, but it kind of goes back in there because paper mills use water. So that's still a thought process I'm mulling over. But instead of the rail door there, I'm going to cut a rail door here. And I have some tracks laid out here. I still may be trying to do too much for the area that I have. It may look a little bit ridiculous. There may be too much railroad part going on here. I'll see as I go, or you know, you guys can give me feedback. But right now I'm kind of looking at 5 spur tracks here. So I'm going to be getting sodium hydroxide for pulping. That will probably go right here along the craft mill. We got slurry. So like limestone slurry, I plan on running that up the side of the building here. I do have a pike stuff building that I'm going to kit bash into the side of that for the limestone slurry tank cars. We got starch, which I will use pressure differential hoppers. I will probably use this spur along the recovery boiler for that, to unload that. And sodium chlorate for bleaching. That I'm not sure about. I'm trying to, I think, do too much, but we'll see. But I do want to try to use sodium chlorate for bleaching. That's a hopper car. So I'm looking at, if I use those 4 things, it's 2 of those things are tank cars and 2 of them are hopper cars. So I'm going to have to figure out if I can use that many things for the size of this. I just, like I said, I may be trying to do too much. And I thought about using this, maybe a spur right here for 55 foot tank cars for byproduct, taking out the byproduct. Like I said, we'll see though. It's just, I'm piecing this together as we speak, and I'm actually excited about it because I can see it coming together. For the longest time I had no idea how or what I was going to do with the paper mill. All I knew is I wanted a paper mill, but it should provide a lot of switching, and that's kind of what I wanted. It's one of the larger industries on my layout. So that's what I'm working on at the moment as far as that's concerned. We'll see how that goes, and I will keep you updated. And I got more cork laid down for where the plastic pellet facility will be. So I'm ready to start laying tracks into that. Again, a lot of these industries, I have the buildings, but I just need to build them yet. So there's a lot of work involved for me yet. And I believe I'm going to possibly just run this spur. I'm going to drop it down to the 2% grade right onto the foam board. I don't think I'm going to use any road bed, cork road bed or anything here. Just to drop it down another layer or level from the main line a little bit. And that's what leads into where the gravel company's supposed to go. Now I'm still a little undecided on it. I might put a different industry in there yet. I'll see. You know, I got the coal mine with the hoppers. I might not use the gravel company just simply for the fact maybe I can use a different industry in there, so I can use a different set of cars instead of hoppers again, open hoppers. So we'll see. But right now I have the coal mine and the paper mill to keep me busy for sure. Okay, I want to give a couple shout outs. One to Brian at Landsberg Great Western Railroad channel on YouTube here. I'm sure a lot of you follow him already. I noticed in one of his last update videos, I just caught a glimpse of his fueling and sanding racks, and I really liked them, and I asked him, you know, what manufacturer they were or where he got them, and he informed me that they were the Bachmann Plus ones, which have been out of production now for a while, and they are very hard to find. And it just so happened my friend Robert Sacco, which a lot of you follow also, that man has a lot of stuff stashed away, and I happened to ask him if he had these, and guess what? He did. He had them stashed away somewhere, and he was nice enough to let me purchase them from him. So thank you to both Brian and Robert Sacco, but they will go right in this area here. So diesel fueling racks, sanding racks. So thank you very much, guys. Alright, one last thing I want to cover. If you remember in my last update video, I was a little bit disappointed about the plastic lumber loads from Walthers that fit in the center beams. So I started looking at other options. So I bought this at Midwest Model Railroad. And again, don't forget about your coupon code DG Modelworks to save 5% on your regular price items there. This is the Jaeger, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Jaeger lumber loads. They have a bunch of different sizes for bulkheads, center beams. This is for 72-foot center beams. This is a kit. I have not put any of it together yet, but they send you these little blocks of wood. Probably make a mess and never get this back in there. Blocks of wood. More blocks of wood. These looks like cardboard pieces that you cut out and wrap around each one for individual lumber loads. And they give you a little bit of simulated cord, some pieces of wood to stick in between your lumber loads so that you know, your simulated forklift can get in there and pick up the lumber loads. So that is something I'm going to work on some year. I have more projects than I'll ever get to. I know some people make their own lumber loads. They cut their own wood blocks, print out labels that simulate the wrapping on the lumber loads and go through it all. That's awesome. I see a lot of people do. They're really nice. That's just a little bit further than I care to get involved with. I just don't have the time to get that far into it. In fact, I don't know if I'll have time to get to these. But anyways, that's an option. I also want to give a shout out to my buddy Jimmy Samsela. He recommended these lumber loads here on eBay. There's an eBay seller that makes these, bunch of different kinds. But man, look at that. They're really awesome looking. Now, all it is a solid piece of wood. He does have the wrapping put on it, and some lines drawn on it to simulate individual loads. Again, it's just wood that he has printed out the labels kind of and glued on there. He did it for you. But they're relatively inexpensive. This was, I think, like right around $8, $8.50, $8.60, something like that. But if you're looking for something to put in your center beams, and like I said, he has a bunch of different kinds, I will put the link to his store in the description if you want to check these out. And they just sit in here, and they honestly don't fall out. And if you wanted to put your own strapping and everything around it, you can. But they look really good in the car. And I'd imagine you could sit these up against somewhere in your lumber yard, as long as you don't see the back of them. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with these too. So there are other options out there that I've been finding, and I will continue to look to see what I like. Well, that covers it for this update, and I do want to say thank you again to all the fellow modelers that have helped me out. I really do appreciate it, and I hope I can repay the favor. Alright, I'll see you next time, guys.